Greetings, everybody. It's October 26, 2013. You're watching Unveiling the Truth. I'm your host, Mark Howitt. This show is broadcast on the Truth Broadcast Network. Check out the website at www.truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And Unveiling the Truth actually just has a new website up as well. Went up last week, so check that out if you have the time. www.unveilingthetruth.com. There you can listen live every week. You can catch the show. And you can also catch other shows that are looping through the network and the other shows that go live through the network, because on the live player on the Unveiling the Truth website, as well as the TBN website, you can catch all the shows that are happening on the Truth Broadcast Network. And I'm very happy to be part of the Truth Broadcast team. We got a great team of broadcasters who are doing it all independently, activists essentially that went to broadcasting, and I think the Truth Broadcast Network is really picking up, so I want to thank everybody for watching. And everybody who does catch all the shows and communicates in the chat room and all that fun stuff. So without you listeners, we wouldn't be able to do this, and we're doing it for the people. So thanks for watching. Today we have a special show here on Unveiling the Truth, something that I've been researching for quite some time now, and I often discuss in the films that I've made, Freemasonry. So today's show will be taking a journey into the world of Freemasonry. And I want to let everybody know that there's also a contest today that I'll be doing. I'll be giving a free copy of one of my films. Let me just get it from the back here. NWO Domino Effect. So you have a chance to win this. I'm just going to ask you guys a question later on in the broadcast. And whoever guesses it right and types it into the chat room first, the answer, will win this DVD. I'll ship it to them and everything. So for anybody who's watching out there in the chat room, let's get active, let's talk to each other on there, and thanks for watching, everybody. That's most importantly, is thanks for watching. Without you listeners, as I said, we wouldn't be able to broadcast. So I'm going to get right to it, as I usually do. I'm going to get right to it, and we're going to get into the world of Freemasonry. Freemasons, they're pretty taboo, actually. A lot of people aren't too sure about them. If they are, there's good things to be said and there's bad things to be said, just as with anything out there. And Freemasonry is definitely no exception. I want to say for early off in this broadcast that I have no ill intentions towards Freemasons or anything like that. I'm simply an investigator looking to find the truth, and what I did find out may be shocking to some. I'm sure all the Masons that are watching out there will come to agree with what I'll be explaining, but essentially I don't have any bad intentions towards Freemasons or anything like that, because I do have friends that are Freemasons that I've met along my travels and my journeys, or that are friends here at home in Sudbury, and they're good people. They really are good people, and I want to let everybody know out there that I'm not going to be attacking the Freemasons or anything like that in this broadcast. I want to let them know that just as with anything, there's good cops and bad cops, good police, good firemen, bad firemen, good lawyers, bad lawyers, good politicians, bad politicians. The same with Freemasons. There's good ones and there's bad ones, and we'll be getting to that later in the broadcast. But for everybody out there, just if you know a Mason or something like that, don't go harassing them or anything like that after this broadcast, or don't go to your local lodge with a can of kerosene and a match or anything like that, because I wouldn't want that to happen. But we are going to get right into it and uncover some of the secrets that are kept from society about the Freemasons. So as I said, not all Masons are bad. Some are good, some are bad, just as in anything else. But the thing with Freemasonry is, and a lot of people are not too sure about what they're studying and what they're all about. So I'm going to explain that. But I want to let people know that Freemasonry can and is used to gain superiority, essentially, to meet people, to connect, to make connections, to network, and to also contribute to the society that's going on, and keep it structured and maintained. And I got some books and documents to show you guys in the broadcast that I think are pretty important, that I've collected throughout the years. which I think you guys will find pretty interesting. Some of the material is actually directly from lodges, so I hope to show you guys that. And I'll show you guys also a place where you can download a bunch of Mason books, PDF files, free of charge. It doesn't cost anything. They're on the World Public Union website, and we'll go to the site later on in the broadcast here, and I'll show you guys where to find that. So I guess the big question for everybody out there who might not know what Freemasonry is and what they study and what they're all about, we should actually take a little lesson here in what is Freemasonry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on screen here the website for the Canadian Grand Lodge, and I want to let you guys know that that every community out there that I've ever been to anyways, that's actually got a population and people in it with jobs and some sort of infrastructure, has a Mason Lodge. There's very few communities that I found that didn't have that, and those were essentially the ones that were really small communities that weren't even really towns or cities. But communities have Mason lodges. They're called Blue Lodges. Most communities have them. Even some smaller communities have them. And then you'll have the Grand Lodges, or the Red Lodge as they're also called. And the Grand Lodges are essentially for the province or the country. These are the biggest lodges. That's where a lot of the administrative stuff gets done for all of the lodges throughout the regions that they're part of. And this is the Grand Lodge of Canada. So this is the Canadian Grand Lodge. And I actually went to this lodge on the March of Freedom while I was there. And yeah, here it is on King Street in Hamilton. So that's where I was. I didn't go in there or on the property. There was a lot of people when I went there, outside walking around and stuff. And I didn't really get a chance to go on the property or anything, but I did drive by and document the Grand Lodge of Canada for the March of Freedom. So, what is Freemasonry? And they'll tell you it's a brotherhood. One thing, there is a female order of Freemasons called the Order of the Eastern Star. I believe there is other female factions of Masonry as well, but for the most part, Masonry is an all-male club. It's a fraternal organization. And here we go about Freemasonry. This is their quote. This is the Masonic quote right here: "Making good men better." So that's what they explain that Masonry is. You join the group to become a better person, a good-spirited, good-natured person, which is what actually ends up. A lot of Masons do turn out to be good people. But here we go. Freemasonry is the oldest and largest fraternal organization in the world. Its members share a common goal of helping each other become better men. Its body of knowledge and system of ethics is based on the belief that each man has a responsibility to improve himself while being devoted to his family, faith, country, and fraternity. Its roots go back centuries, and its members are diverse. High-profile leaders, physicians, construction workers, farmers, and maybe you. Ancient and modern, because it's such an old organization, it does have very, very old roots, which we'll get into later in the broadcast. We're united by three ancient and fundamental principles: brotherly love, charity, and truth, that are made relevant to the 21st century through the personal development, good works, and social connections available to our members in the 550-plus lodges across Ontario. And that's just my province alone, Ontario in Canada. So, goes to show you how many Mason lodges are in the world. This is the largest fraternal organization in the planet, and it's right in your backyard. So, we're going to get into what these people are studying, especially a lot of the secrets, the symbolism, and all that stuff as well, which will probably interest a lot of you, I hope. So, there is benefits, they say. Freemasonry offers much to its members: the opportunity to grow, the chance to make a difference, and the means to build a better world for our children. It offers the chance to socialize and work with men who have the same values and ideals. We strengthen and improve our character by learning and practicing basic virtues of fraternal love, charity, and truth. Our principles extend far beyond our interactions with each other, and we strive to apply them to our daily lives. So, it doesn't really tell you much of the benefits here. This website is very vague. It just tells you the basics. It doesn't really go into detail about too much of the stuff that they learn, because it is a fraternal organization. They claim that they're not a secret society, but more a society with secrets. That's what they claim, but we will find out differently later on in the broadcast. It's easy to learn about Masons starting with the pages of this website. Need more details? Looking for a Mason in your community to share his personal perspective? Send an email, call, or drop by your local Masonic lodge. Here's a list of all of them, probably in Canada. And it says right here, Masonry is not a secret society. Much has been made of the secrets of Freemasonry over the centuries, but many would argue that if Masonry is a secret society, it's the worst kept secret in the world, which is true, because there is a lodge in every community, and because of that factor, they're not so secret. They're essentially hidden in plain sight. They're right in front of us to see, which makes it very interesting, and it does actually make it intriguing because most people out there probably know a Mason, whether they know that they're a Mason, whether they've revealed that they're a Mason or not is a different story. A lot of them will keep secret. They won't tell others that they are part of the Brotherhood, and they will keep a lot of secrets, especially about what they do, the rituals, the initiations, a lot of what they're taught. But you will find a lot of Masons, once you start talking to them, they will open right up to you and explain a lot of things to you. I've talked to several Masons out there who actually were openly discussing a lot of things that they've studied with me, confirming much about what I was studying myself and researching, which was a very good and positive thing. And one thing I noticed as well, with a lot of the Masons that I did speak to, they all said that a lot of the Masons are older gentlemen. They've been doing this for a long time, and the youth are not as involved, essentially, as people were in past generations. And it's important to point out that a lot of Masons are actually get accepted into the lodge because of their blood relations. So that's an important factor to point out early in the broadcast here, is that a lot of Masons are inducted into the fraternity through their family relations. Their grandfather was part of it. Their father was part of it. It's passed on. It's hereditary. It passes on through generations. And a lot of these families have been involved with this for quite some years, quite amount of time, for sure. We checked out the website there, and it did give us a little brief introduction into what they are. It's a fraternal organization trying to make a better world, a better community on the local level, which is really good, because we need that. Every community needs a group to make sure that people are being fed. People that are going without, essentially, don't have to suffer, and that's what the Masons do in the communities. They do food drives. They operate also the Salvation Armies and some of the shelters and stuff like that, the soup kitchens. They actually do a lot of charity work as well. They'll start charity programs, or they'll promote them to generate donations and stuff like that. So there is a lot of Masons out there who are doing good work like that, and that's where the confusion starts to come into play here. When you have people doing this kind of stuff for the community, people will look at that and regard it as goodwill. However, you've got people also in the organization that once they get up, they meet certain people, because, as the website explained, the people that become Masons are usually, it can be anybody really, but you do have to go through an induction process, and you can be blackballed in that process. And what blackballed means is they take a vote to decide whether or not you're accepted into the organization. And if you get one blackball, you're not allowed to join the Brotherhood. So they have various reasons why they wouldn't allow somebody to become a Mason. They do ask you if you believe in a God, or if you are religious. And if you say you're an atheist or you don't believe in a God, apparently they will not allow you to join the Brotherhood. So you would essentially get a black ball in that instance. As well, if you have criminal records, or you're a criminal, or you're a known bad person, I guess, they wouldn't accept you into it as well, because it is high risk. And there's many reasons for this. We'll discuss some of them later on. And there is quite a bit of information out there about Masonry. You can find it online. You can find books. I've got a few books actually here in behind me about Freemasonry. I'll show you guys a couple of them anyways. This is Freemasonry, Its History and Myth Revealed. This just essentially the details of the history of Freemasonry and some famous Masons, the architecture and all that stuff. It describes that. This book here was written by Masons. Secrets of the Freemasons. I picked that up for I believe $5 at a Chapters bookstore, and that's one thing that you have to watch out for as well. Some literature that you will get is from Masons, and some of it is not from Masons, and you'll have to essentially choose what you want to read. But when you're reading material that were written by Masons, it's always pro-Mason. They'll obviously discredit a lot of things out there that might make the Brotherhood look bad and stuff like that, or exclude it from the books. And they'll just keep to the points, the basic points. They won't give out all the secrets. They'll just give out some basic things. For instance, this book here, The Secrets of the Freemasons, it gives you the footsteps, the positioning of the feet for the entered apprentice. Most Masons will essentially rise to the 3rd degree Master Mason. So that's what you have. You have a lot of them that won't go past the 3rd degree. However, in the Scottish Rite, there is 33 degrees that you can obtain, and that's what they claim is the highest level. But there's sources out there, and there's lots of speculation out there saying that there is higher degrees. And not only that, but you could also branch off and join other subdivisions or other organizations, essentially that were started or formed through Freemasonry or infiltrated Freemasonry, such as the Illuminati, which was disbanded in Europe, and infiltrated Masonic lodges, and a lot of the doctrine has been implemented for the higher ups that do receive different degrees. However, you've got a lot of Masons, quite a few actually, that are just 1st to 3rd degree, and they're happy at that. They're happy with obtaining. There's a lot of reading involved and studying involved, and a lot of these initiates they're not up to studying that much material, and they don't find benefit through it and stuff like that. So they will lose interest over a certain amount of time, which is why it is essentially, you'll hear a lot of older Masons say that there's not as many younger participants, and they are trying to promote it more to get more people on board, because they don't want to have the group dissolved. But because of a lot of the conspiracies going on, like 9/11, and you've got wars happening all over, you've got the economy, you've got all these problems happening in the world. People are trying to figure out what's causing these problems and how these problems could have been allowed to exist for so long without anything being done about it. And then when they start digging through the history books and they start making links to famous Freemasons who did certain things, they'll start to figure some things out. This book here also has some of the handshakes. For instance, the finger over the first knuckle is the entered apprentice. I'm going to find this for you guys, because it may be hard to see because it is a book. Perhaps I should have brought it up on there, but there we go. We've got the first entered apprentice over the first knuckle, and then you have the fellow craft, the 2nd degree, which is over the 2nd knuckle, and then you have the Master Mason, which is right here, which is over the hand, and the thumbs are crossed. So that's how you could tell with the handshakes what degree they are. They also stand certain ways and do certain, like pulling the ear. They do certain, and the lion's claw in photographs throughout history. Look at Bonaparte and look at George Washington and all these Freemasons, famous Masons. A lot of their portraits and photographs that were painted of them, their hand will be clutching their chest like this, which is the bear claw, taking secrets to the grave, essentially the oaths. So one thing that I also want to point out too is when looking for books on Freemasons, really you'll find good information in any book on Masons, but there is some that are more on the that'll reveal a bit more information about what they study, is what I'm trying to say. Not so much about the group itself, but a lot of the secrets that they do study in higher levels. They'll release information about that. So one good book, it's pretty decent. It talks about the links to Egyptian history, the Hierarchy. I would recommend it for a read for anybody out there. They're looking for the links between Masonry and ancient Egypt and stuff, and they found a lot, which is where a lot of my research had led me as well, to back to ancient Egypt and the mystery schools of Babylon and stuff like that. So many believe, and I believe this as well because of what I've studied into the subject, that Freemasonry is ancient knowledge just passed on through the ages, and some of this knowledge has been kept secret, like tight-lipped secrets for sure. Like, this stuff does not get out. These people do keep these secrets to the death, and that's what they take a blood oath for. Essentially, they take a blood oath when they join Masonry that they will never reveal the secrets of the Masons, and because if they do, they risk death. Essentially, they'll be killed. If somebody does do that and they do get expelled from the group or whatnot, they have to go through another ceremony, which is essentially killing off the character. It's like a ritual where they kill you off. That symbolizes your death in the Brotherhood, and then you are allowed to leave the group. And I've known a couple people that had to do that, and when they left Masonry, they essentially got nothing afterwards. They got it's like the Masons felt that they were betrayed by this person, like it was the worst thing that they could have ever done, so they were treated badly. And one thing that you'll notice with Masons is they get higher up and they get more power and more profit, essentially more kosher, because of the connections they make through Masonry. You'll have judges, you'll have police chiefs. In fact, let's take a look back at this Grand Lodge of Canada website here, and we're going to go back to the home page. And what do we have here? Oh, the Peel Police. I think that's Peel Community. So among those officers who received the medal, 5 are Masonic brethren. There's the 5 Freemason police members. Peel region. And it's they received this medal right here. The medal was designed by the Canadian Heraldic Authority and manufactured by the Royal Canadian Mint. It displays the crowned image of Queen Elizabeth II on the front, with recognition of the 60th diamond anniversary of her sovereign's accession to the throne on the reverse. So you have Queen Elizabeth medal here, which is one thing that you'll notice with Masonry as well. There's a lot of symbolism involved, and a lot of this symbolism links back throughout history. It's historic symbolism, and a lot of it links back to royalty and stuff like that. And there's a reason for that. And you have to go back through history to link this all together and stuff like that. It also ties in a little bit with the Egypt stuff, where there is Masonic stuff that totally links back to Egypt. So you have essentially people passing on wisdom and knowledge through the ages, and keeping it secret and stuff like that. And these people will advance to higher degrees, but they also work powerful positions in the community, like police officers, police chiefs, fire chiefs, lawyers, corporation owners, business owners, judges, lawyers, if I didn't say that already. You've got the main people in the community that are keeping it together often join Masonry for the benefits of being connected with all these high ups in the community. And when they offer services, a lot of Masons will own their own businesses, or they'll have a skill or a trade or a craft, as they call it. Each person is skilled in a certain aspect. Each person is gifted in a certain way. And the whole idea behind Freemasonry is to become immortalized somehow, which is why in every community you could possibly go to that has Masons in it, or even a Lions Club, or a Legion, or any other Masonic group that's associated with Masons or that was created by the Freemasons, you'll have people there essentially working together, and then there's certain skills they will give it away to other Masons for no cost, essentially like a bartering system. They totally run off the bartering system if they can. And what that does is it reaps huge financial benefits, really, because let's just say one Mason is a mechanic and there's another Mason who's a lawyer. The mechanic gets in trouble with the law. The lawyer says, "Hey, you fix my car, I'll do you a favor as well." There's no funds transacted that way. There's no exchange of money whatsoever. It's more helping somebody out. A Mason will never let another Mason sleep on the road or sleep outside. They'll always invite them inside. They'll always offer them a meal. If a Mason needs a ride, they won't let them walk. They'll pick them up and give them a ride. Actually, a lot of lodges, even the one in my community here in Sudbury, has a building, a link to it or associated with the lodge where other Masons traveling through town can sleep at no charge. Essentially, it's like free hotel, free lodging, keyword there. So this is another way that they essentially get to power, is because of that. They'll trade off their skills and services so that they don't have to pay for those certain things. And that's why you'll find a lot of the Masons are higher up in the business world in the community. And another important thing I want to point out on this website here from the Grand Lodge, I believe, I don't think it is on this page actually, but I know for certain that there is one here. Let me just get it up here. Sudbury Manitoulin Masonic Lodge is what I'm looking for. Here we go. Got it. Alright, so we have the Sudbury Manitoulin District Freemasons, which is the community that I live in. This is the website here. And right on the first page, what do we have here? The Masonichips Clinic, October 26th, which is today, from 11 till 4 p.m. at the Little Current Community Center. Little Current has a lodge. I live in Sudbury, which is where the Blue Lodge is. It's the main lodge. Other communities around Sudbury region actually have their meetings at the Sudbury Blue Lodge, which is the main one, which I'll show a video of in a little bit. But here is the Masonichip. They're wanting people to get microchipped. They're promoting it avidly on their websites. And the reason why they want to microchip people is for tracking purposes, obviously. And a lot of people would say that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. I wouldn't personally agree with that. I think that the Masonichip is a way that they can track you, keep track of what you're doing, keep information about you on there as well, which is one reason why they'd likely have that implemented. And another important thing to note out is, if you can remember back when they were trying to implement the RFID chip and people were starting to first hear about chipping people, microchipping people, they're blown away by that concept. So many people refuted that. They didn't want to be chipped. They said that's a disturbing notion to have a microchip under the surface of your skin. And that bothered a lot of people, yet still a lot of people get their animals microchipped, which is another way to track them, GPS and all that. But because people were protesting being chipped so much, what happened was they found other ways to chip everybody. And it was effective. It proved very effective. And the ways they chip you now is through your cell phone, or through your bank cards, health cards, any government card, essentially. They were making people renew their cards not too long ago because they wanted to have that chip on it, because a lot of and that's another way that they force the chip on people, is the debit machines, the debit card receivers at stores. You have to insert your chip in there, and in order for it to read, you can swipe or chip. Now, I remember when I was using that, when I had a bank account like that, they told me that my old card wouldn't be good anymore, that I had to get a new card with a chip on it. So that's one way that they were able to put a chip on somebody, on a person. So if you have a bank account, you have the chip on you. And the cell phone as well. Everybody's got a cell phone nowadays, and cell phones are definitely highly detailed chips in there. They have the GPS, they have tracking, they have a camera right on the phone that they could access at any moment in time. They could look through your video camera if they want to. They have fusion centers where people actually work doing that. So those are set up through military groups and stuff like that. So you have these people spying on you through your cell phones, listening in or watching whenever they can. That's another reason why cell phones are always built standard now, with video cameras, microphones on them, GPS, all that stuff, so that you can be tracked very easily. which is why we got things like Block It Pocket, sponsor of the Rundown Live, a show here on Truth Broadcast Network. And what that is a sheath that covers your cell phone. It'll block the receiver. It'll block anything from getting out until you take it out. And when you take it out, then you could work it again. But essentially, it blocks your signal. So there is ways around that if you don't want to be tracked or anything like that. But another important thing to point out, not only microchipping in regards to the Freemasons, but there's also something else that's worth pointing out here. And that is, and I don't think I'm going to find it on this website here, because there might be some information on it, but it'd essentially be a bit harder to find. So what I'm talking about is blood. Yes, blood. I know it's Halloween soon. I'm not talking about gore. I'm not talking about anything spooky. I'm talking about my blood, your blood, anybody's blood out there. These people want your blood. If you don't believe me, check it out. Freemasons are linked to, that's right, blood donation services. They're also linked with the Red Cross. The Red Cross isn't just Canada, but I'm referring to Red Cross internationally, but we also have Canadian Blood Services. I'm not sure what it's called in the United States, but here in Canada we have something called the Canadian Blood Services, and what that is where people can donate blood for medical purposes, and that is run and administered by the Freemasons. As far as I know, they keep track of all the records, so they also in turn have access to all that blood. Anybody's blood sample that's ever donated blood, they have access to that. The Red Cross is symbolism. Yes, symbolism. So we all know about the Red Cross. It's on the Knights Templar. It was on Christopher Columbus's ship. The Red Cross, the Rose Shield, Rosencrux, the Rosicrucians. That's something that Freemasons would study. Rosicrucianism, very old order. There's also lots of other symbolism that's used throughout Masonry, and it's found in everywhere you could possibly look. And a lot of these patterns come in sets of threes. You'll find three items on certain sigils and logos. Certain logos, when translated in numerology, mean certain things, and these are all things that Masons know. So when you're trained and you learn about all this stuff in Masonry, you'll be able to walk around outside in the world, and the whole world is something totally new to you. It's like a book or something. It's like you're reading something that nobody else can read, because you understand the symbols. You can interpret the symbols to what they actually mean and where it comes from, where the origins of it is and why it's there, and it all starts making sense, and you start connecting and putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and then you notice that these puzzle pieces are right in your own community. So that's pretty interesting to point out, that these people are right in your backyard. They could be your best friend or a family member, but a lot of these Masons are unaware of certain aspects of Masonry. If they looked into it, they would find some of the same answers that I did. It was hard to find some of the information that I did on Freemasons to be able to put some of the pieces together, but I tried my hardest, and for the last few years I've definitely been researching a lot about them. One thing I want to point out too is the Red Cross. We all know what that is. Essentially, when there's emergencies or blood as well, when blood is needed or certain medical things, that's what they're there for. But you also have Masons, a lot of them are in charge of charities and donations and stuff like that. They'll set up cancer cure fundraisers, and they'll administer a lot of that. In fact, a lot of Mason lodges are responsible for a lot of charity and donations, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a huge income. I wouldn't. We'll discuss that in a bit. Actually, very very shortly here, about the donations and all that stuff. Many people would say, oh yeah, well, they're doing a good service for people, they're taking donations, they're giving it to the people for whatever purposes, whatever they need that for. But we have to really think about it here and realize that, okay, for cancer, for instance, there's cures for cancer out there. We all know that, and they're highly suppressed cures that have been proven to work. Look at Rick Simpson, run from the cure, with his cannabis oils that he created. He cured lots of people, not only from cancer but other illnesses as well. So you've got cancer cures being suppressed, and yet you have Masonic organizations doing charities to raise money for cancer research. And sure, cancer is a pretty technical disease, if that's what you want to call it. But really, if there's a cure out there for it, we should be on that trail. We should be on that trail long time ago. In the 30s, 40s, we should have been curing cancer naturally with some of the cures that we know about today. But instead, they're using harmful procedures, chemotherapy and all that stuff. And then you have a lot of these groups that are doing fundraisers and generating billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars every year from donations for a disease that could have been cured 100 years ago. So you've got 100 years of intense amounts of profits being made just from donations and charity programs and stuff. And in my opinion, that's a racket. That's racketeering. That's hardcore criminal activity when you have that going on. And yet most of the world doesn't see it like that. They see it as, oh, well, they don't have the cure, because they never researched it for themselves. They don't know that there's a cure for it out there. So in that aspect, I find Masonry is a bit off. You'll find that a lot of Masons do know, though, about this corruption and the conspiracies of the world, that they're very, very interested in that kind of material, which is intriguing, actually. But it's because they know about history, and when you do research this stuff and you start finding out the secrets, you're essentially finding out the same stuff that they're taught in their lodges and stuff. So that's interesting to point out about the donations. And I made a film in 2011. It was actually directly pretty much after the Arab Spring, when Egypt revolted and stuff. I made a film that concentrated a lot on why they were protesting and the needs for change around the world and stuff like that. We need to live in a better world. I was just starting to make films at the time, and this one here is the kind of the film that kind of like got me going a bit more. 2012 Revolution, World Awakening, it's called. And there's a clip from that film that I want to show you guys here. Just let me get it on the screen here, and we'll have it up and running. And there's a clip here that I found. I can't remember what video it was from, because it was a few years ago that I made this documentary. But there's a guy who collects Masonic materials, and I'll show you some of mine after this clip, actually. But there's a guy who collects Masonic materials. He's got a huge collection, and he lives in England, I believe. And he really found some good stuff. And I'm just going to locate the clip here first before I get it on screen for you guys. So I do apologize for the brief delay here, but it will be worth it. All right.
As slow as possible. I mean, this is Red Cross is doing everything.
So here we go. And I guess I'll show you this clip as well, because it's pretty important and it's memorable. I'm sure a lot of people out there might remember this clip, actually. And the clip I'm referring to is Kanye West during Hurricane Katrina, when he was calling out Red Cross for not helping. And that's another big anomaly. Check it out if you got the time. Oh, wrong one. Okay, here we go. We're gonna cut to it, and I'll play you guys this clip.
Do you remember what love is? Here's a glimpse into the future of capitalism.
Yeah, this is a clip right before the Red Cross part, so. Yep, everyone's stressed out at work. That's for sure. Tense at their jobs for slaving for the New World Order.
See that again.
Of water where there was once city streets and thriving neighborhoods. I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. If you see a white family, it says they're looking for food. And you know it's been 5 days because most of the people are black. And even for me to complain about, I would be a hypocrite because I've tried to turn away from the TV because it's too hard to watch. I've even been shopping before even giving a donation. So now I'm calling my business manager right now to see what is the biggest amount I can give, and just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, this is Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help are at war right now, fighting another way. And
The reason why there was no help.
Permission to go down and shoot us.
Red Cross. When you hear that,
And subtle, but in even many ways more.
When you hear Red Cross,
devastating is the lasting damage to the survivors.
I wouldn't trust it.
Build and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana.
There you see the great architect of the universe and the all-seeing eye. But over the years we've collected a lot of information, a lot of fact sheets and documents have been sent us and so forth. So if I can start off with something that came out of the now defunct magazine Punch. And it says here, the Duke of Kent has acknowledged that of the 16 million net expenditure by the major Masonic charities last year, only 1.35 million, just over 8%, went to non-Masonic charities. So they're all saying, we do so much for charity, let's say the 8% went there. And that was from the Duke of Kent, who of course was the Freemason and is the head of the order now. Now this is a little chart I put together, very sort of basic, but it gives you some ideas of the top 33 degrees there. And you can see that we started with the entered apprentice, the second degree fellow craft, and the third degree master mason. And I was told by a mason many, many years ago that very, very few masons will get beyond the master mason. And as you saw through some of the documents we had last time, the gentleman, he got just behind 18. But anyway, that's that there now. Now, here we have the unveiling secrets of the list of companies and portfolios, British Energy, BP, Norwich Union, and so forth, all tied in with it.
Fritz Springmeier was among the first people to expose the Illuminati to the public.
so there we have it, folks. I'd like to rewind that part just to show you guys, but it might take a little bit of time to do so. I'll see if I can get it quickly on the screen here for you guys, just to see if we could get back on that, just to point out that important part here, because he did explain a bit about the 33 degrees, what they're called, all that stuff. But notice the article. This is from a Freemason magazine. This is from a Masonic publication from the Masons themselves that only a Mason would receive. Nobody else would receive this material. And check this out. If you missed it, we'll play it again, because I know that the background noise was is a little bit louder. Like I said, it was one of my earlier films, but this is definitely an important piece that I found in my research. So
Here we have the unveiling secrets of the list of companies and portfolios, British Energy, BP, Norwich Union, and so forth, all tied in with it.
whoops.
Fritz Springmeier was among the first people
All right,
to
well,
expose the Illuminati to the
what he said was that only 10% of the donations went to the charities,
As slow as possible.
and the other
I mean, this is Red
90%,
Cross to rebuild.
So much for charity,
right here.
let's say the 8% went.
I would really like to know where the other 91% or $14.65 million of charity donations vanished to. This is an inexcusable amount of money stolen from public charities. Definitely a huge amount of money stolen from public charities, from the goodwill of people, really. These people are donating money to make a difference and create change, and it's being used for other purposes. Who knows what purposes?
Fact sheets and documents have been sent us and so forth. So if I can start off with something that came out of the now defunct magazine Punch. And it says here, the Duke of Kent has acknowledged that of the 16 million net expenditure by the major Masonic charities last year, only 1.35 million, just over 8%, went to non-Masonic charities. So they're all saying, we do so much for charity, let's say the 8% went there. And that was from the Duke of Kent, who of course was...
Well, the Duke of Kent. So, we all know who the Duke of Kent is, right? Well, that's another thing about these Masons is a lot of the symbolism and stuff do relate to family trees. You'll see it in the shields and the symbols on the shields and family crests. You'll find these same symbols within Masonry. As well, you'll find them on the walls, the stained glass windows of the lodges. You'll find them in the architecture. There's a lot of mathematics and geometry that go into the building of the lodges and stuff like that, especially in the direction that the sun rises and sets over the lodge, etc., etc. There's a lot of information out there about that. I don't really want to get too much into all the specifics of that because we do have just over an hour here, and there is still quite a bit of information that I want to go over with you guys in regards to this, as well as show you guys a couple visits that I made to a couple lodges. I got video clips from that I'm going to show you guys soon. So here we have, I'll go over this quickly anyways, but this right here was given to me by somebody actually who's cleaning out a house. And apparently this is from a deceased Mason. This was his book, his lodge book, from Capriol, Ontario, which is Lodge 588. And that's the National Lodge. As you see, the all-seeing eye is right on the front of this form. And this is from Northern Ontario, right close to home. This would take me 20 minutes to drive to this lodge here. And it's dated June 5th, 1973. So this is from before I was born that this was written on anyways. And I have even older documents here. This one here is also from the National Lodge. This one here is from 71. So 2 years prior to this one. These essentially are just these mini ones here. Will tell you who the members are of the lodge, officers, honorary members, committees, such like that. And this is really a meeting. They give these out at meetings that they have and stuff like that, some of the bigger meetings. And here we have the National Lodge bylaw book. This is what all Masons would get when they join Masonry. And this book here essentially just tells you about the laws and legislations. Well, not really so much the legislations, but the laws of Masonry, some of the codes that and conduct that they do, and stuff like that. And that's definitely an old document as well from the 70s. This one here is even older. This is probably from the same Mason, obtained from his collection. And this one here is from, if you could see the date in the top corner there, November 1952. So this is from 1952, this document. And this is called Fellow Travelers in Masonry. And I went through this, and it's essentially a story about Masonry and how they came over here to North America and stuff like that, a bit of the history and stuff like that. And this is given to the Fellow Travelers in Masonry is a document that's given out to a lot of Masons, but this is very old here, and it's been through a lot. It looks like it's all waterlogged in the bottom. I'm not sure if there was a flood in the guy's home or something like that, but I'm going to read this out quickly, skim through this really quickly, just because it's got some interesting facts and information in it that should be revealed to the public. The charge to the entered apprentice has this to say: to so high an eminence has its credit been advanced that in every age monarchs themselves have been promoters of the art, have not thought it derogatory from their dignity to exchange the scepter for the gavel. The scepter is from Egypt, if you were not aware. The British kings have ever been leaders in Masonry. History informs us that in 926, King Athelstan gave his son Prince Edward permission to organize and conduct a Grand Lodge at York. This was during a time of monastery building. Since Edwin's time, members of the royal family have taken key roles in the order. And as you know now, the royal family, very involved in Masonry, highly involved. In fact, the Queen Elizabeth II is apparently the grandmother of Masonry for the world, actually. Since Edwin's time, members of the royal family have taken key roles in the order. Many of them have been Grand Masters. Our late lamented George V, who was initiated in a double ceremony with his brother Edward, Duke of Windsor, on December 2nd, 1919, was elected Grand Senior Warden in 1923 and Grand Master on the accession to the throne of Edward in 1936. So you have all these kings and monarch figures that are linked directly with Masonry that were actually high ups and rulers of the lodges and stuff, which is no different than what's happening today. You have the higher ups in the lodges that are key members of society, that have contributed. And as I said earlier in the broadcast, a lot of Masons do become famous because that's what they want to do. They want to leave a legacy behind. So when they're on Earth and they're doing their craft or their art, they want to leave an imprint of that behind, or a legacy, which is why in your community you'll find your public parks are named after Freemasons. That's why they're all named after last names, street names, lakes, parks, buildings, you name it. These are all named after Freemasons in the community that contributed to the community or were honored and now immortalized in stone, essentially. A lot of monuments go up to honor Freemasons. There's so many clues and symbols in every community that all points to this. And a lot of people just walk by and they just say, oh, that's a monument, that's a monument. They have no clue about the symbolism behind it. And it's very interesting to point out, I'm not going to show a video here tonight, but when I was in Halifax, a lot of the statues and memorials that are erected in Halifax are actually of people that were killing Native Americans. They were scalping them, putting out death warrants for people to go out and kill Native Americans and bring back their severed heads and scalps and all sorts of cruel, inhumane torture and murder, really, the eradication of the Native Americans. And these people were honored. In fact, in Halifax, there's places and cities named after people that were killing these people, and that's how they were honored. They were honored by doing the crown, which they were linked to these crimes, and they were honored by having communities, cities, streets, monuments were erected. So you've got a lot of these people that are doing bad things in history, or that were busted for doing bad things in history, and they're immortalized forever, and glorified, really. They think that they're well, just by having a monument up, obviously it's a memorial for you that's forevermore there. So just like the Georgia Guidestones, that's a memorial that was obviously built by Masons. Just look a little bit into it, like R.C. Christian, come on, it's all there. So that's one thing. I'm going to get back to this, though, just to read a little bit. On November 30th, 1934, Edward, Prince of Wales, later Edward the Eighth, and Duke of Windsor, was elected Grand Master Mason of Scotland. He was never installed into the high office as he ascended the throne before the ceremony could take place. So this is all talk here about how royalty is all linked to Freemasonry. All these people, Lord Cornwallis. There we go. This is where it starts getting into the Canadian talk here. It said that Oliver Cromwell tried such a scheme after defeating Charles I in the Great Civil War. The early history of America contains many names of people who were Masons. After the American Revolutionary War was over, thousands of loyalists flocked to Canada. Almost overnight, Halifax, which I was talking about earlier, was established as a naval base to protect the North from the new independent people. And that was a huge military base there. The whole city of Halifax is essentially built on a massive military defense structure. And they were battling the French, who also built a military structure in Quebec. So Quebec City also has this massive military infrastructure there. As the royal family, the monarchs and stuff, were trying to take Canada, which is why the natives got eradicated by the Europeans. And Lord Cornwallis is the guy who founded Halifax, and he's got the statue right in the middle of square, in the middle of town. So he's been immortalized forever, and he's the one who was putting out bounties for the scalps of Native Americans. So Lord Cornwallis is the one in charge of the building of this naval base. He was an active Freemason. There you have it, folks. And on the March of Freedom, I heavily documented as much as I could of these monuments and stuff like that. So it's right out there. In 1755, when General Braddock was sent to storm Fort Duquesne, now Pittsburgh, he was ably assisted by Lieutenant George Washington. He was a soldier of Britain, being born in England. He later led the rebel forces in the American Revolution and became the first American president. So all these high up people who have shaped history, molded history, were Freemasons. And it makes you wonder if these people are only allowed to achieve that position of power because they are a Freemason. And I think that's why a lot of people join Freemasonry. They join it for that reason, that specific reason, to elevate themselves to higher positions in the community. And when you do that, you start disregarding humanity when you're killing people and you're trying to dominate and colonize. And I know Masons aren't doing that now, but there's other ways they're doing that, corporately, financially. They get to a high level and they receive the benefits of being a Mason and the networking and the people that they meet. That's how they do it. So the first Premier of Canada as well, Sir John A. Macdonald, was a member of ancient St. John's Lodge in Kingslaw. His regalia is still preserved in the Kingston Temple. So even Canadian. So you got this happening all around the world. And this goes on to talk about who else was famous Freemasons, who came on. Napoleon, Duke of Wellington were brothers, the Royal Society. It's all linked to a lot of things. As well, Paul Revere of the famous, right after the famous Boston Tea Party, was a member of the Boston Lodge. A lot of people don't know that. So this document is pretty in-depth. It names a lot of people that were Masons in this document here. And this is from 1952, from Matachewan, Ontario, which is in Northern Ontario, actually. So, pretty old documents that I found in my travels. I'm lucky I had a good friend who actually gave me that. He said he had no value in it. It meant nothing to him. It was just sitting around his house, and he knew I was into that kind of stuff. So he brought it over for me to check out, and I'm glad he did. A couple books here. I've got a book on secret societies there. It's just called Secret Society: A Brief History of Secret Societies. That's a pretty in-depth book, not only about Masonry, but also about the Illuminati and ancient Babylonian mystery schools and stuff like that. And you've also got William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse. He wasn't a Mason that I'm aware of. However, that book is highly it's highly recommended by Freemasons, essentially. I mean, a lot of Masons read that book because it has a lot of good information in it. William Cooper was definitely on to a lot of good things when he was alive. And I said it in another broadcast, I'll say it again, rest in peace. He was definitely a powerful truth soldier who definitely did a lot to wake the world up, and his life was taken as a result. So we're going to get back to business here with the videos. I'm going to talk a bit less here, just to show you guys some of these clips from the lodge visits that I was telling you about from the March of Freedom. This hasn't been shown anywhere else, so this is the first time that you guys will see this. But here's an inside look. This is an interesting video here that I'll have to show you guys. It doesn't have a soundtrack to it or anything like that, but if you notice in this video here, there's something that I'd like to point out, and that is at the bottom of the screen you'll notice a Sony symbol. The Sony symbol, which is right around here, is actually a TV set. So somebody's recording this video from their television set, so they're watching this video on their television, which likely indicates that this video here was taken from an old video cassette or an older source. Watching it on the TV, it could have been, taken digitally or something like that. But we're gonna get to the video here, and you may recognize this clip from. I'm just gonna mute this because there is no sound, anyways. But this here is a clip from inside the lodge, and you'll notice that there is the Grand Master sitting under the all-seeing eye in the triangle, and there's the Masonic regalia above the other two seats. Those guys are definitely high-up Masons in the lodge, while they have a dancer dancing around, and they're standing behind her, or sitting behind her, communicating amongst themselves, snickering about, engaging in lustful activities in front of other Masons. This woman is performing in front of a group of Masons, and as I stated earlier, there you see the Sony symbol, indicating that this video is likely from somebody's personal collection, and this is really from inside a lodge. This isn't a movie scene or anything like that. This is straight up from inside of a Mason lodge, and you'll find a couple other videos out there that were snuck out of lodges or recorded secretly inside of a lodge. And it will eventually later be taken out, and there's a couple of them that have been posted online. But this one here was particularly eye-catching, I guess you could say, not for the girl or anything like that, but because that this sort of activity is happening inside of lodges. They're supposed to be a group of brothers who stick together and make the world a better place, and I guess they do that by having women dance and strip for them in the lodge. So I don't know if that's what's going to make the world a better place. I wonder where their dues, like where's all the money from their dues going? It's like a union, essentially. They pay their dues. That's how you become active. You become an active member. You remain an active member by paying your dues. So makes me wonder where that money's going. Where's all that charity money going? You know what I mean? 91% of charity donations missing. Something ain't right there, and that's definitely needs to be looked at a little bit more. I think it's the donations and charities out there are all a big scam. I would never trust any of them unless you know the person that's running the organization and you can trace your money to the source of where it's going and actually see it making a result and a difference. Now, one thing that happens in communities is there's a lot of people that do help out. And that's what happens. They'll help out and they'll get involved in their community, and that's how they want to make a difference. But you've got other guys abusing it and not doing the right thing. So that's something that's not too good. I gotta say, it's not too good when you have people abusing something that's supposed to be for bettering humanity. Now, there's a lot of occult practice in Masonry. When you get higher up, you'll start learning about all sorts of things, like Sephiroths, and you'll study about the Kabbalah. You'll start to learn about all sorts of esoteric topics and subjects, and essentially you'll, as it's stated in Albert Pike's writings, that they essentially achieve Luciferianism, which is worshipping darkness. They realize the yin yang, the order out of chaos, which is another Masonic motto, order ad chaos. That is good and bad. There's always duality involved. So essentially you could have a good man, you could have a good person, but also they realize that within that good person there is also an evil person. There is also darkness, dark emotions, and they fully realize this. And a lot of the rituals that they practice were implemented by other groups and other organizations and societies. You'll have, for instance, Satanism, like the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey from San Francisco when it first started, and even today they practice very similar rituals to Freemasonry, and in fact it was molded from those same rituals that are practiced in Freemasonry. And there's all sorts of symbolism that you can find which will kind of point you in the right direction, and when you start to realize the symbolism and just what it means and how it's all connected, it all starts making a lot more sense, which is one thing that they teach you in Masonry. Another thing they teach you, though, is that symbols and even words have multiple meanings. So there's alternate ways of viewing symbols or deciphering these symbols and words, essentially. So you'll eventually learn all these different variations of the meanings of the word, etc., etc. And one thing that's really worth pointing out is that Masons rule the communities, essentially. Like they don't rule it, but they built the communities. They're the builders of the community. So you have this happening all throughout history because you have communities, civilizations starting up, and look at the Egyptian pyramids and just the architecture and all that stuff. You've got the golden spiral, you've got the pi, the golden ratio, found in all these buildings and in Mason lodges and in their work and in the architecture and stuff like that. So these people also study geometry. They also study sacred science and stuff like that. A lot of kilotonic stuff. So very interesting material, which is kind of like what got me into looking into the Freemasons more, was because I was learning about all this stuff on my own, and I just started realizing, wow, the Freemasons are studying the same thing as me. But then I'm totally against the New World Order. I'm totally against the infrastructure. I'm totally against government. I'm totally against the corporate system that everybody's bound into from birth. I'm totally against the birth certificate. I'm totally against the straw man. I'm totally against all that stuff. So because I'm totally against that stuff, I'm totally against Freemasonry because, like, I wouldn't say totally against Freemasonry, but I would say that I would not become a Mason because of that. Because I know the other people that are involved in the lodges, and I know that it is linked in some circumstances. Now, they'll say that you're not supposed to discuss religion. You're not supposed to discuss business at the Masonic lodges, but you'll see that these lodges are rented out or leased out or essentially given to a Mason to hold events that are linked to business or religion, etc., etc. So it won't stop somebody from having meetings or groups in the lodge, which is another thing. But you do learn about a lot of this stuff as you get higher on and you start reading more and more. You will start reading and researching about the links between the business aspect of life and the infrastructure, the control of the society, the psychological control of the society, how where an action causes a reaction, essentially. They learn about all this stuff. So that's one thing you have to really look out for because it's right in front of our faces. Most people don't realize it until they kind of take a look into it a little bit, and then they start making the connections, and that's when you really start waking up and realizing that, okay, well, maybe there's more to this than what we're being told, essentially. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a video on screen here.
This is the old Sudbury Hospital here. It's shut down since. It's been
and this is from a visit to the Sudbury Mason Lodge.
But here we go. There's a whole street name actually exclusively for the Mason Temple here in Sudbury. And it's Temple Court. I'm not sure the name of the street, but there you go. Temple Court offices. They say it's a banquet hall, but really, you gotta go up here yet. I can't remember the street name. You can go either way to get to it. Temple Court. It says it's on Regent Street, but this is like a hospital services building here that we're at, and it's actually past the Mason Hall is actually past this building. It's built on the same. No, this is the hospital services. And as you can see, there's the point of the church pointing up down in the valley below. You can see that it's high up. Yeah, you can see like it's built right on top strategically, so it's overlooking the Sudbury region over here. The Mason Hall is right there. It's that building.
No trespassing.
Yeah, of course it says that. But you went the wrong way. That's what I was telling you before. But just pull up here and turn around if you can. No dumping. Lower level banquet hall. There you go. I'm just gonna get out quickly, document this, and then we go up to the top of the front doors. It won't take long. So we've arrived here at the Sudbury Masonic Temple. Can't remember the street name it's built on, but it has its own name. I'd have to look into that a little bit. But here it is. And it's right by the old hospital. They've since shut down the hospital. And they actually have like an apartment building attached to this Mason Hall where people that are traveling through can sleep. Masons have free room and board when they stay here. And this is a giant building here. As you can see, there it is. It's definitely one of the bigger halls for Northern Ontario. And here's the camera. They've got cameras and motion sensor lights all around here for security purposes. And as I said, it's built strategically on top of the hill, so it overlooks Sudbury, and it's like a natural defense when it's up on a hill. A lot of forts, as we've seen across Eastern Canada, like the one in Quebec City, and even Halifax, the Citadel is built on a giant hill as well. So here we go. There's Sudbury. from the view of the Masonic temple. And that's it. Sudbury Blue Lodge. And there's a lot of history here in Sudbury, Masonic history, just like every other town that I've been through. A lot of the street names and monuments and buildings are named after Masons, such as Tom Davies Center. Tom Davies was a Mason, and the government building here in Sudbury is called Tom Davies Square. The square and compass. So yeah, Tom Davies Square is where you'll find the social services, and all those offices are in that building. And we also got Bell Park, named after the Bell family here in Sudbury, who were Masons. The street down there, the main street going down, is called Lorne Street. Lorne was also a Mason. So you've got all these in Sudbury Masonic connections. And we're going to go around the front of the building just to check out the front doors. And hopefully I can see the street name, because I remember they have a special street name for it. And this hall isn't essentially old. It's not an ancient hall or anything like that, but a lot of the buildings here in Sudbury are definitely old, especially when you get to the downtown core. Some of them have been taken down or rebuilt into new things, but it's just like every other city that we've been to. They have a Masonic history, and the Masons definitely build all that stuff. They built every city, no matter where you live. So yeah, if you turn right here, we'll go up this street, and I wish that they had that street name. It's not Temple Court. I can't remember the name of that street. Yeah, keep going straight. Where this car is coming from. I think she's coming from the Mason Hall. Maybe her husband's a Mason or something. But here's where they have hospital supplies. I know they deliver certain supplies to that building. It's all connected to the hospital. There's that building I was telling you about. It's an apartment building, Temple Court. And that's where they have the Masons. They house them there for free when they travel
offices.
Through. Yeah, there's offices in there, but this is where they house the Masons when they come through town. They have free lodging in this building. It even says so on their website. So I'm just gonna get out here and document this Mason temple here. This is the top. This isn't the bottom, but this is the top of it. Temple Court. Why do you think it's called Temple Court? Gee, I wonder. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. But as you can see, as I was explaining, it's attached. So here we have the Masonic Temple of Sudbury. This is the entranceway. So there we have it. Boarded up, no windows in. They used to have windows, from what I remember. I could be wrong, but it's called the Bell Rock Masonic Center. And this is where, this is just a Blue Lodge. It's not like a major lodge, but all the Sudbury Masons definitely come here for their meeting. I believe it's the first Wednesday or Tuesday of the month. They have their monthly meeting here. So, that's it right there. So even my town of Sudbury has it. And this has a deeply rooted Masonic history here in Sudbury. With the mining industry and all the industries that came in here. It's all connected for sure. So, right on. Another Masonic hall documented. And there'd be nobody there. I could knock on the door and nobody would answer. These cars here, I think what they've done is to get income, they've rented these apartments out to regular people, just anybody who needs a place. They probably still have a couple apartments open for when Masons do come through, because that's what it says on their website, that they that the Temple Court building is for Masons when they come through. And it's out of the way, as you can see. It's built out of the way so that nobody can find it. It's not easy to find. And it's listed in the phone book and on the site as on another street, but I think they took down the sign for the street name because I can't find it anywhere. But there's the old hospital. Used to be Sudbury's main hospital here, and there's another hospital as well that was shut down. Actually, this hospital is still functioning.
This is long-term care facility.
It's long-term care, yeah, it's changed, right?
Yeah, it's now the long-term care facility.
Yeah, so yeah, they did change it.
And this is an old age home.
Yeah.
It's for terminally ill patients and people under
Oh, there we have a video of me and my wife when we were driving around, checking out the Sudbury Lodge. And I'd also like to play another quick video here from the lodge in Oshawa, Ontario, that I went to. That's definitely a lot more symbolic lodge. Just gonna get it up here on the screen. And there's a lot more symbolism is what I'm trying to say.
So I'm just with Ty, we're walking to Wasted Space.
So I'm going to get this on the screen here and get this set up.
There's a bunch of old buildings.
And yeah, there's more symbolism on the Oshawa Lodge itself. On the outskirts, you could definitely clearly see a lot of the symbolism, which is what I'm going to show you. Again, this video has never been played live anywhere else or played on the internet. I haven't made this video available anywhere. So this will be from the March of Freedom show that I'm working on, actually, which will be a complete season of episodes of my journey across Eastern Canada, documenting Masonic lodges, talking to tons of people about what's going on in the world, trying to find answers, trying to find solutions and stuff. It was definitely a pretty interesting trip. But here we have it. I'm going to get that on screen for you guys, and this is the Oshawa Lodge, Oshawa, Ontario,
so I'm
Canada.
Just, with Ty, we're walking to Wasted Space, Oshawa. We passed City Hall over there. There's a bunch of old buildings, old churches, really old. They're probably one of the first buildings in Oshawa. Usually it's the churches, because a lot of people are religious when they move to a town. When this was just being developed, I bet you it was the church and the old town hall, the City Hall building, and of course the Mason Lodge.
All the things you need to control a society.
In Oshawa. As you can see, it's definitely an old building. It's been here for a long time. I wouldn't say it was the first building, but it was among the first, because the Masons were the builders of the cities, and they had to build the structure of the business and the corporate side, and and all that aspect of the city needed to be built. And the Masons are usually the ones that do it. The judges, the lawyers, the mayor. The mayor of Oshawa is a high-ranking Mason, actually. John Henry, I think his name is. Yeah. But here it is. There's the symbolism. If you look on the top of the door, you'll see the triangle. There's always the triangle, the pyramid, and then the book is in the triangle. So when you enter the Mason Lodge, they will teach you the secrets. And then right there you have the double-headed eagle, which is the Scottish Rite, the logo of the Scottish Rite, and you'll see the fruits. There's the cross there, the shield with the cross, the red cross. That would be red if it was colored. The red cross is the Knights Templar, as you know. And there's the compass, the square and compass, the designing, the mathematics. And there's, on the glass, you can actually see here, somebody must have thrown a rock at the window and cracked it because they're upset about it. But there's the light, the sun is the light, and there's a pyramid underneath it, because the Masons built the pyramids long ago with the ancient schools, the Babylonian mystery schools. And you have the square and compass, which builds all the buildings and designs the cities. And then you have the Mason entering the, right there you have on the glass, the all-seeing eye is above the door. The apprentice or the initiate is walking through the pillars. The two pillars, like I showed you in a lot of the videos so far, you have the pillars on each side of the door. When you enter the archway through the pillars, that's you're entering the light, you're entering the wisdom. They will teach you the secrets, but most people only go to the third degree. They only reach the Master Mason degree, and they're fine with that. But some of them go higher and higher and higher, and that's when they start learning about the occult and the control over the people. The symbolism is really high up. But you'll also notice the checkered floor. All Mason halls have checkered floors inside. They have the altars, and they have lots of occult symbolism inside. They have skull and bones. Skull and bones is a Masonic offset. And I doubt anybody's here. Every Mason hall I've been to in Ontario so far, Masons have not been in the building. They're empty buildings. They only go there when they have their rituals, their initiations, or their meetings. Usually once a month, or the first Wednesday, or the first what? Hello, sir.
Hi.
I'm documenting a reality show, and I went to every Mason hall in Ontario looking for a Mason to speak to.
We're not Masons. We're the janitors.
You're janitors?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any Masons in the hall at all, or today? It's an empty building except for you guys?
That's it. We just topped it up and we're out of here.
Oh, okay. So I guess this building needs cleaning. Is there any way that I could get in and document some of this?
No, not today. Not today. Not while we can't let you in because we're not known.
Oh, okay. No
Ready?
problem.
Okay.
You've let in the light.
No, she has to set the alarm.
Okay. Well,
No,
thank
we
you,
can't
sir.
let you in because we don't.
It's a very secret building, right?
I don't know nothing about
I
it.
know the mayor of Oshawa is amazing, high ranking.
I don't
When he
know
sits
nothing
at City
about
Hall, he wears his Masonic garbs. And the symbolism above the door explains a lot more than meets the eye, as they say. Thank you for your time, though.
Yeah, there we go.
They have the Eastern Star meetings in
The
here.
guy, wonder if they have the meetings of the Eastern Star here. That's funny. But yeah, that guy definitely threw me off there because I wasn't expecting anybody to answer. I literally went to every Mason lodge that I found, the distance that I traveled walking and even driving, and nobody was ever there. I knocked on lots of doors, nobody ever answered. It was like they were only there on certain days and stuff like that, so that would be the reason why. But that's a couple Mason lodges there. That's what they look like. They're just buildings. Most people drive by them every day and they don't even know that they're there, but they're right in your backyard. You probably find one in your community if you look it up in the phone book or check it out. You know what I mean? You'll probably find a local one near you. So as I was saying, as you've seen above the door there, definitely lots of symbolism. That's one thing that the Masons do. They're very skilled in reading symbolism. That's one of the things that they learn along the way. And it's used everywhere throughout logos, a lot of company logos. You'll notice some of the symbolism. This shirt right here is from Conspiracy Culture in Toronto, Ontario, which is the only place in Canada, the only store in Canada that sells conspiracy books and DVDs and all this stuff that you could really learn about the truth on a lot of things. And I know the owners and stuff, they're really great people. But they have the symbol on there, like the eye, the triangle with the light radiating it of the eye. They use that symbol because they're aware of the symbolism as well, right? So when you're aware of the symbolism, you start picking up on it. You see it all over the place in your government symbols, in your company symbols. Usually if it's a Masonic organization, they use some of the symbolism in their crests and their logos. So once you learn to decipher the codes, it starts becoming things really make a lot more sense. It's like a million words could come out of these images and teach you and tell you what's going on and stuff. And if you were never aware of what the symbols meant, you would never know. You would never know any of that information, which is what's really interesting about this. I'm gonna show you guys now another video. This will be the last video I want to show you, but it's full of Masonic symbolism, tons of it. And it's an important video. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before, and maybe some of you have seen it even decoded. I haven't really checked out anybody else's interpretations of the video or anything. I never really looked into it as much, but I definitely seen the video a bunch of times, and I noticed the symbolism a lot on it. So what I wanted to do on today's show is play a video for you guys and kind of go through it and decipher some of the symbolism that's used in it to show you guys the meaning, what I see it representing. There's probably a lot of stuff that I missed or that there could be a different way of interpreting it, which is exactly what Masons learned as well, the multiple meanings of things, which is awesome. That's kind of like what opens things up to possibility to create change and stuff like that, is that fact. So that's a very good thing. But you guys would know this video as I Pet Goat 2. This is a very strange video that surfaced on the internet. Oh, it's already up. Very strange video that surfaced on the internet not too long ago, I believe in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a bit before that, but it's a video that surfaced and it was very strange video. People were just blown away. They're like, whoever made this is definitely somebody that knows something about what's going on. But this whoever did make the video, the name is slipping me right now. I forgot it right now, but it does show in the video. I think it's Hierophant, if I'm not mistaken. It'll show in the video though. But the guy who made the video was definitely on the ball about a lot of things. He knew about the New World Order and Masonic symbolism and the Illuminati's agenda, and also what's going on with the inside jobs and the presidential bloodlines, all this stuff. He really understood it and put it all into a video. And for all you people out there that haven't seen this video, I think it's really important for everyone to see it, because it does tell a strong message anyways, and the message in the video can be interpreted on multiple levels. I'm sure that everybody who watches it will have a different interpretation of the video, but it's very awesome video, I think, in explaining a lot of things. And also, in my opinion, I believe that it was created by a Freemason, by somebody who was really educated on the symbolism of Masonry and a lot of the multiple meanings of certain things and world events and what they meant and stuff like that. So we'll do kind of like a commentary. I'm gonna talk over the video and explain the symbolism that's going on and point things out that you guys might not have noticed before. So we're gonna get right to it there. So again, this video is I Pet Goat 2. It's a strange name, I know, but there's a reason for that. When George Bush was reading to the children, I should have got a video of this, but check it out. The video of George Bush reading to the children when he hears about the 9/11 attacks, apparently for the first time on camera, and he does that look there and stuff like that. Prior to that, in the classroom, the children were saying "my pet goat." That's what they were taught. They were all saying it in unison at the same time. Like, "I pet goat." The teacher asked him a question. I can't remember offhand what it is, but check it out on YouTube if you get the chance. The class before 9/11, when George Bush was in the classroom reading. I think the book was actually called "My Pet Goat," if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of ties in with this video, as you'll see. But without further ado, here we go. Time to commence I Pet Goat. So of course, here we got the goat with the barcode, the googly hypnotic eyes, mind control, trance, rolling the dice. I Pet Goat 2. Looks like a sheep. And here we have the puppeteer, the president puppet, who's just a puppet dancing on a checkered floor, tap dancing, with a dunce cap funneling the energy outside of his head, which is what the dunce is for. On the board, you have the penis, showing the mentality of the human mind now. You have him looking around, and the hangman in the back, and it says revolution in the background. It actually says evolution, but it's evolution anyways. And you have the three hearts, the burning house, the snowflakes, which represents the sacred geometry, the mathematics. You've got the owl up in the top corner, Bohemian Grove owl, from the Moloch from Bohemian Grove. The puppet changes to Barack Obama, who's sitting there all pretty laughing, just laughing, snickering. Meanwhile, there's a girl who's different kind of race than the rest around her, holding the apple of knowledge, blonde hair, blue eyes, looking down at the checkered floor, sitting in her own circle. She's separated from the rest. The apple rolls out, and the apple splits on the checkered floor, intertwining the DNA strand, the spiral, the fractal geometry of the flower. And the president is worrying. He's worrying that people know, the world knows about what's going on, knows that the whole world is torn apart by essentially their own mistakes, what they've done. There's the Twin Towers burning. Obviously, one collapses exactly the way that the other tower controlled demolition, as many say, but then you've got the guy with the mask. Many people wear masks nowadays, so you've got the dancing person with the mask, and then you have the Messiah, but you'll see him later. Here's Osama bin Laden wearing a CIA outfit. The oil wells in the background. The oil is bleeding into the ocean. Essentially, the world is being destroyed by greed. You've got the Star of David, or the Israeli star, underneath the Statue of Liberty, which is a Masonic monument. You have the one eye with the snake, the sperm, the DNA, the bloodline. burning heart, painted the all-seeing eye, the third eye, nose. And there you have transhumanism, which is essentially what's happening. They're slowly implementing transhumanism. The children's minds are smashed from the world they live in. Just totally corrupted minds. You have drones, bombers, corruption, and flight, obviously. The puppets dancing. And children dying, like what's happening in a lot of countries in the world. The beetle, the scarab, the one eye, again. This is like the child in Syria. This is what this part reminds me of. The child in Syria with the gun. The flower flowing down the river. The worker, the unions, workers, working class destroyed, suffocated from the world. This is Tiananmen Square symbology. Somebody trying to stop what's going on, but it's like Mardi Gras there. But here's the Messiah again. He's dazed. He's in a trance. This is the Savior apparently, but he's got the Masonic symbols all over his body. Transhumanism again. The TV telling children what to do, but also programming them. Programming the mind. Fire breather. And that's heavy Egyptian symbology there. And this is like the inside of the mouth, it looks like, but reminds me of Kali. I believe it's the goddess Kali, if I'm not mistaken. And the fish, you've seen the fish kills, the bird kills, the whole nature itself is declining, being destroyed. This represents love. I believe anyways. There's a heart up there. It's supposed to be what people see love, but love is something that's in the past. It's something that's ugly almost, or destroyed anyways. It's collapsing. The world is collapsing because of the mentality, the psychology of the drones, the cyborg humans, the puppet race, the sheeple that just go. And this is supposed to be the savior, saving them, breaking them free from the grip. There we have it. His eyes are normal now. He's got both eyes working fine. The children start dancing when you break free. What's under the mask? Ha. It's definitely interesting stuff right here. And this is you've also seen global warming and all that stuff. You've seen what they're saying, you know. It's like they're destroying the world on purpose, essentially. The globalists want the world to be destroyed. They want to let everybody suffer, let everybody crash and crumble. That's their agenda. And there we have it. The castle destroyed, going towards the sun. And yeah, anybody who hasn't seen this video, check it out. There's so much more that I missed, and there's so much deeper meaning to this that I missed. I mean, it's very hard to decipher fully. That's one thing. But it is up for interpretation for sure. That's why I think Hierophant created this video. Hierophant, sorry. I'm not sure why I said the other one. But yeah, that video is definitely worth checking out. There's the credits of who did the video and stuff. But yeah. So there we have it. That video is definitely out there, you know what I mean? There's so much to it. It's so deep, and there's so many layers, so many things that you miss, and just it's crazy, because that's essentially what's going on in the world today. Is the world is falling apart almost because people are programmed, their minds are shattered like that child, and that's what it's taking. when the generations are destroyed essentially in the mind anyways, and they're easily controlled and they're more manipulated, and the food that they're eating is just not good for them. They're getting sicker. They're just their bodies are dying off faster. Life expectancy is down. I mean, a lot of depression is up because children just grow up in a bad world. They grow up with all this struggle and conflict and competition, and all this stuff just has a negative impact on the children's minds, and that's how their minds get shattered. And it's pretty bad when you are controlled and governed by a system out there that exists because of financial means. Essentially, money is what keeps us attached to the system. When you're born, you get a birth certificate. In order to get a health card, you need to get that. Then you get health care. Then you're eligible for it. You can't get a job unless you have a birth certificate or a social security number, a SIN number, whatever you have. There's all these legalities and bureaucracy involved with just being alive in this world, and that is the very fabric. That's the spider web right there. Essentially, that's the spider web. That's the webbing that sucks you in, and that's not good. You know what I mean? That's what people want to try to break away from. That's why we're fighting this stuff. But it's so hard because when you have children, or maybe you don't have children, but you need to survive. You need money to survive. You need to go out there and get a job. You need to do all these things. And a lot of people try to start their own businesses or whatever, but that transhumanism aspect to that video is definitely pretty interesting to point out, because that's what's slowly happening in the world today. Is there is high concentration of jobs, I would say, various jobs, being replaced by machines, being replaced by technology, and people are losing their jobs, but they need money to survive because they live in a financial system, and when they can't afford these things to survive, they need assistance, and that's where the Masons come in to help out, which is a good thing when people do need help, to get help and stuff like that, which is a good thing that they are doing and stuff like that. But also, who's in control of all those other systems that are actually damaging society, where these people are getting higher up? A lot of these people are Masons. A lot of these politicians and banksters and lawyers who let people off are Masons. And one of the codes, or an oath essentially, that a Mason takes when he joins is that they will never let a fellow Mason fall, essentially. So no matter what, if a Mason's in trouble, you'll help him. You do what you can to help that person out. That's what makes them so tight together, I guess you could say. That's the brotherhood. The whole ordeal is helping each other out. And that's you've seen it in play in many cases. A lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people were Masons and stuff like that. And they had they committed crimes or whatever, and the trials they went through were pathetic. Most people would have got way more than what they got, and it was just a fiasco. Another thing that Freemasons are infamous for is staging events to shape the opinion of the public, or by conspiring essentially to change history for certain reasons or certain purposes and stuff like that, which is one of their long-term goals essentially. And now each Mason as well has their craft and their skill, as we mentioned earlier, but they also have something that they want to accomplish in their life, right? Like, everybody has to have a goal, their work of art essentially, or the magnum opus as they call it. So that's one thing that they work towards. And when you have people that have high positions of power, it's so easy for them to manipulate that power and do harm to the general population. And that's what I see happening. Whether some of these people are Masons or not, a lot of times they do keep it secret. They don't tell anybody, or they have their names omitted. I believe it's optional whether they have their name publicized or not. But some of the most famous people in history were Freemasons, and they're the ones who shaped and molded history throughout time. And you see that happening now with Masons on a local level, on a global level. It's happening right now as well. And some of these Masons are doing good work, while others are doing bad work and promoting bad things. And that's where people are about Freemasonry, I think, opinion-wise anyways. The people that aren't Masons, that are outsiders looking in and stuff like that, essentially, they have a different opinion on what's really going on and stuff like that. So these people might have bad opinions about Masons, or they might have good ones. It's a mixed thing, which kind of makes it a very elusive group. But at the same time, as long as they're not doing harm, I've done research into what they study and stuff like that, and what they actually study in the lodge and what they do through their initiations and stuff like that isn't really too harmful. However, the initiations do represent, darker things, darker rituals from throughout history and stuff like that. So it is very occult based, and it is designed to keep the community in grips, essentially, to keep the community going and stuff like that. I don't think that it's hard to say really, but Masons are involved so much in the community that I don't think a community, it could definitely survive without the lodge and stuff like that, but it wouldn't have been built to begin with without that. And that's why a lot of Freemasons are people that are in city council, that are part of the local government and the local infrastructure and stuff like that. Any commerce or any industry in the community, you'll have the higher ups of these companies, corporations and stuff like that, being Freemasons and working together, because they do it all the time anyways. That's how they keep the community going. And then you have everybody else that are just consumers. They just work. They're the guys who, the workers who keep the system going, who make these people the profits and stuff like that. If they step out of line, they have other people to make sure that it all stays intact. And that's how it has stayed intact for all these years. And I know people don't want chaos in the streets. They don't want to go out and harm anybody. They don't want to see any harm done to anybody or anything like that, which is good. And I don't want to see that either. You know what I mean? I don't want to see people get so mad about that there's control even on a local level, that they retaliate and stuff, because people do want to protest the New World Order and stuff like that. But there's a time and a place for that, I guess. And if you just went out in the streets in your local community and went to your lodge and just protested and all that stuff, you'd upset a lot of people and stuff. And you don't want that kind of image, I guess. And it wouldn't really do anything to begin with, I don't think, unless you had a massive group or something like that. Then it might draw some media attention on the subject and stuff like that. But you really have to look into it a bit more, you know what I mean? But there is a group of people in every community that do work together to make sure that community runs as intended to. And that is through law, through legislation, and through business and commerce and all that kind of stuff. And there is programs out there to help people, which are run through the Masons and stuff like that. But in anything, there's good and there's bad. So that's one thing. You can make a difference on a local level if you do get involved. I'm not saying go join the Masons or anything like that. I mean, if you want to, check it out, do some research. If you want to, go ahead. But it all lies in your heart, because I met a lot of good Masons out there who are good people. They don't want to hurt anybody. They're just doing it for knowledge, to become a better person, essentially, and that's respectable. I really do respect anybody who wants to make a difference in the world and create positive change. Now, what would be really good is if these people like the Masons who do want to make a difference would actually run charities for not finding cures, but promoting the known cures. These lodges should be organizing groups like that would promote the actual cures and get people that have cured themselves or whatever to do speeches and seminars to show other people how easy it is and how efficient it is. And these Masons know this stuff. It's in alchemy, you learn about herbs and different elements and stuff like that, and how to mix. You get different things, metallurgy. There's all this stuff that the Masons learn and stuff, which is beneficial, I would say, to know. But it's like with anything, like I said, there's good and bad in everything. Now, as I said earlier in the broadcast, right, when we started, there was a contest for a free DVD. So here it is. And I don't know if there's anybody left on the chat. I haven't checked it in a while, but I'm going to see if there is anybody and see Anyone awake on the chat room? I know there's a bit of a delay. It says there's 5 viewers in the top, so that's not too bad. There's still 5 viewers. But before, awesome. There is somebody. I see freedom. Awesome nickname. I see freedom. So do I, brother or sister. But here we go. Awesome. What was the name of the last Unveiling the Truth show? There we go. What was the name of the last Unveiling the Truth show? You could find it on unveilingthetruth.com. But if you can answer that question, I'll mail you this DVD. New World Order Domino Effect. Pretty good film. If you want to make copies and give it out to your friends, that's awesome. Anybody else in the chat room too. If you stick around, I could tell you how to download it off on the internet if you want a copy for yourself for free, but this is for a DVD version anyways. So if somebody answers the question I just posted in the chat, I'm going to type it out. If you can answer the question, you win the chat room prize for the night. There we go. If you can answer the question, you'll win the chat room prize for the night. And I'll probably throw a contest here and there just to give something out on air. Oh, I see freedom. Something about Illuminati in the music industry. Indeed. Indeed. And that's good stuff. I'm just going to get this on screen here. There we go. I'm just pulling up well, I see freedom wins the prize. Yeah, Kat said Obamacare exposed as evil, which was actually Harry Link's one of his broadcasts that he did recently. That wasn't from Unveiling the Truth, but I see freedom. You were right. Illuminati in the music industry is actually called the Illuminati and the music industry, but that's very close. And time is running out, so definitely you win the prize. If you want to send me an email, go to unveilingthetruth.com. And in the contact section, just send me over an email, and I'll ship you out this DVD if you send me your mailing address, free of charge, for winning the prize. Thanks for watching, guys, tonight. I do gotta go because time is running out, folks. But thanks for sticking around and watching. I hope you guys learned something about Freemasonry. And as I said earlier in the broadcast, I don't hate Masons or anything like that. I do believe that they are obviously the biggest fraternal organization in the world, and they do have links to high up people with connections, people that are doing crimes against humanity and stuff like that, all sorts. But you also have cops out there that are abusing their positions. You have employees that are abusing their positions, friends abusing their friendship. It's something that exists in everything. But with something like Freemasonry, it's really deep, and they do have a lot of control over people in the community by the systems that they run and stuff like that. So that's one thing. As I stated earlier, if these people use their power to create a better world truly by implementing free energy, not privatizing water, getting bad chemicals out of foods, then I think we'd be off to a good start. So thanks for everybody for watching Unveiling the Truth with and I'm your host, Mark Howitt. I'm gonna get the outro file here queued up, and we'll be off. Stay tuned for other shows on the Truth Broadcast Network. I think it's Death to the New World Order next, and there's also Cancel the Cabal, and don't forget the Rundown Live. Awesome guests on that show. If anybody wants to be a guest on Unveiling the Truth, send an email. And once again, thanks for watching.